I got nobody to blame. Do not bother. I know that it is hard to understand. I know I was born to do this. All eyes on me. All eyes on me. I said I'm getting through this. Wait for me, please. Wait for me, please. Don't ever have to leave. Don't ever have to stay. This is all we've been dreaming of. Don't ever have to leave. Don't ever have to stay. This is all we've been dreaming of.
Is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well. Is that not the truth or what? It does not matter who the host is. Today's Wednesday, March the 2nd of 2022, day 61st of the year, and only 304 days left to go. So anyways, I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods. Hopefully you didn't stay up too late watching any kind of State of the Union stuff or going through the recap afterwards and all that kind of fun stuff. So anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse. Yes, the multiverse known as Safety FM. And we are, of course, hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we tend to do stuff.
Radio Big.
Yes, we are also hanging out on RadioBig.fm. You know, I was thinking about this yesterday. If we were to add another radio station into the mix of things of where we hang out, do we start listing them all off? At what point do you say, okay, we're not going to list them all? Maybe we should have that explanation a little bit later. So anyways, stuff going on. We're going to talk about what's going on inside of the world of news. We're going to talk about what is going on inside of the world of safety. We're going to talk a little bit about everything because that is what we do on this little show. Now, if you are interested in coming in, hanging out, and doing some of those things there, that's perfectly fine. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. Simplifies the process relatively quick. It goes like this. You go to a web browser, you type in call in radio, and it will take you to a messaging service. So it's either messaging, video mail, or you can actually do a text message type of thing and kind of coming inside of there. Also, some of the social media platforms will allow you to come in and hang out with us as well. I don't always see them. Just between you and I don't always see them. So you could be popping into that box, going over there as we are speaking, doing some of the things there. Anyway, so let's get it moving and grooving right away. Let's take it from the top of trending right now on the overnight with some of the following stuff. So let's talk about hashtag Happy Birthday Justin Bieber was trending on Tuesdays as fans wish the Biebs a happy 28th birthday. Hashtag Women's History Month is this month. Twitter users shared hashtag while noting several important women throughout history, including Maya Angelou, Virginia Woolf, Meghan Markle, Oprah Winfrey, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Michelle Obama. So there you go. What else? You saw hashtag Facts Tuesday, hashtag Mardi Gras, also circulated on social media as users shared how they were celebrating the annual tradition. Also, Jimmy Fallon asked fans to tweet along my dumb superpower on Tuesday. Tweets included annoying the cat, selecting perfect avocados every time, doodling, and talking to animals. Another thing that made the hashtags, of course, was social media users geared up for President Joe Biden's State of the Union address. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. And let's not get too deep and dark inside of that whole thing, because, it kind of can get always kind of frazzle-dazzle when it comes to that. So let's talk about some other things real quick. It is Wednesday, so let's talk about what is going on in the top 5 fiction and nonfiction books currently on the New York Times bestsellers list. So taking it from the top to the bottom to the top, at number 5 in the fiction category was Vertify. That is number 5. At number 4 was Sierra 6. At number 3, Diablo Mesa. At number 2, It Ends With Us. And at the number 1 book, according to the fiction category, was House of Sky and Breathe. House of Sky and Breathe. There you go. Anyways, in the nonfiction category, going into the number 5 spot was The 90s. At number 4, The 1619 Project. At number 3, Red-Handed. At number 2 was The Body Keeps the Score. And at the number 1 spot, according to the New York Times bestsellers list, for the nonfiction category was From Strength to Strength. So there you go. That's what is on the list, because that's what made it. So if you're interested in getting some of those books, you're more than welcome on doing so. Easily available to do that. All you have to do is just go to your favorite book provider and pick it up. Go from there. Anyway, so I think it's time for us to get this ball rolling. We're going to start off with our friends at Feature Story News, and then we'll drop into some other news, and then we'll come back and do it all over again. What do you think? How does that sound? Yeah, that's what I thought too. So let's go from there, and let's get to our friends at Feature Story News, starting us off with what is going on.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Ukraine says Russian paratroopers have landed in the city of Kharkiv. Dozens of people have been killed and injured in Ukraine's second largest city in the last 24 hours. It's also reported the southern city of Kherson is now occupied by Russian forces. Moscow correspondent Stuart Smith says Russian tactics are shifting.
This marks a change in strategy that we've been seeing developing over the past 2 days, going from what initially seemed to be a kind of shock and awe, quick in and out of Russian troops, trying to minimize civilian casualties as much as possible. That didn't work. Logistics got cut off. And so a reforming, according to the Ukrainian General Staff, a redistribution and reforming of Russian lines, more intent now on, in effect, sieging cities and also bombing them or shelling them.
President Biden has condemned President Putin's invasion of Ukraine in his State of the Union address, but the rest of his prime-time televised speech to US Congress centered on domestic issues with little mention of foreign policy. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
It is rare to find bipartisan agreement in Washington these days, but there were several standing ovations from both Republicans and Democrats for President Joe Biden in just the first few minutes of his speech as he addressed the crisis in Ukraine and noted that when the history of this era is written, Putin's war on Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger.
He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
He announced that he would ban Russian planes from American airspace. The rest of his speech was largely dedicated to domestic issues like infrastructure, tax, clean energy supply chains, and the cost of prescription drugs.
Reports say China's signalled it may be willing to act as a mediator to try and end the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. That's after a phone call between Ukraine's foreign minister and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. Patrick Falk reports from Beijing.
According to a statement released by Ukraine's foreign ministry, Beijing said it was ready to make, quote, every effort to help end the war through diplomacy. China says the call was initiated by Ukraine and that the two sides also discussed the evacuation of about 6,000 Chinese nationals from Ukraine. Beijing has so far resisted criticizing Russia over its actions and has refused even to call its attack an invasion of Ukraine. It's also fiercely opposed Western sanctions on Moscow and repeatedly said that dialogue is the only way to stop the fighting. Patrick Falk, Beijing.
Apple is halting all product sales in Russia over the invasion of Ukraine. It's also limiting services like Apple Pay and Maps. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. President Biden used his first State of the Union address Tuesday night to talk about the challenges facing the nation, as well as some of the successes of his administration. NBC's Bree Jackson.
Touting successes such as vaccinations and the infrastructure law, while also recognizing challenges.
And with all the bright spots in our economy, record job growth, higher wages, too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills.
He started by condemning Russia for its invasion of Ukraine and announced that U.S. airspace is now closed to Russian planes. He touted the ongoing fight against the coronavirus and called for Americans to stop using it as a partisan dividing line. Biden also acknowledged historic inflation putting pressure on the pocketbooks of American families. Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S. received a standing ovation during the State of the Union. President Biden introduced Ukrainian Ambassador Oksana Markarova during last night's speech at the U.S. Capitol.
Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
The entire House of Representatives stood up and applauded Markarova, who was visibly moved by the reaction. On Monday, the ambassador met with a bipartisan group of U.S. senators asking for more military support in Ukraine's fight against the invasion. The White House is responding after a Colorado Republican heckled the president during the State of the Union. Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the timing of Congresswoman Lauren Boebert's outburst was troublesome.
That was the moment in this speech where the president was talking about his unity agenda and talking about priorities that we should all be able to agree on.
It happened as Biden was saying how cancers caused from burn pit toxics would put soldiers in a flag-draped coffin. At the same time, he was referencing his dead son, who was a U.S. soldier. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Los Angeles police officers are now required to tell drivers why they pulled them over. The Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners voted to change its policy to address controversial pretextual stops. Officers who don't explain why a traffic stop for a minor violation leads to a more serious criminal investigation will be disciplined. Before, LAPD officers were allowed to pull drivers over on a hunch that they had an outstanding warrant or had committed a more serious crime. Officers' explanations must be captured on body-worn cameras. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is naming legislation intended to limit no-knock warrants after a mere lock. Trey Thomas reports.
The 22-year-old black man died after being shot by police during a no-knock raid last month. The Minnesota Democrat introduced the Amir Lock End Deadly No-Knock Warrants Act just hours before President Biden's State of the Union address. Omar says the bill would create strict limitations on the use of no-knock warrants in drug-related investigations.
Christians around the world will be pouring into church today for Ash Wednesday. More from Mark Mayfield.
And many will be seen with an ash cross on their forehead as they fast. This marks the beginning of Lent. The season leads into Easter and includes repentance, fasting, reflection, and ultimately celebration. Those who receive ashes are saying they're sorry for their sins and will use the next 40 days to reflect.
I got you.
A reggae band is suing pop star Dua Lipa over her song Levitating. The lawsuit, filed yesterday in Los Angeles federal court, says Levitating is a ripoff of the 2017 song Live Your Life by Florida-based Article Sound System. The song was on Dua Lipa's album Future Nostalgia, which won the 2021 Grammy for Best Pop Vocal. Baseball fans are now having to wait longer for opening day. The season has been delayed after a labor deal couldn't be reached in time amid the MLB lockout. I'm Michael Kastner.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's gonna teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting's hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go. Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What? Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No. Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this. To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. Cool. Very cool. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's a new year, but it's feeling harder than ever to find and hire qualified people you need, especially for small businesses. That's where LinkedIn Job comes in. They make it easier to find people you want to talk to faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of the most qualified people. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering qualified hires versus leading competitors. I have to tell you that we have used LinkedIn Jobs to even find some of the people that we have here at Safety FM. LinkedIn Jobs can help you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your jobs for free on linkedin.com/safetyfm. That's linkedin.com/safetyfm to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And don't forget to tell them that you heard it right here on Safety FM.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. A lot of new stuff. Yeah, I know we went kind of longer edition, but it's okay. 18 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out here. Anyways, let's take it from the top, the hit list. So let's go from right there. The company overseeing the Nord Stream second pipeline from Russia to Germany is facing bankruptcy just days after the international sanctions were established. On Tuesday, it announced it is terminating contracts with employees. Worth noting, the Biden administration allowed this project to go ahead after former President Trump actively stalled its completion. There is no telling if Russia would ever invade Ukraine if it didn't have the energy leverage over Europe. It took just days to cripple the project. The world responded differently to the decisive, deliberate actions from the position of strength that now shows a position of weakness. So, I don't know. Interesting stuff to think about as we are talking. That's a can just in case, and I'm not popping one back. I'm not opening up a can of whoop ass just in case if that's what you were wondering is that what was going on, because it's definitely not.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
I just hang out here behind the microphone, so let's make sure that we get the story straight. Anyways, the UN reports that at least 677,000 Ukrainians have left the country as of Tuesday, nearly a week into the invasion. Of those, more than 100,000 have entered Russia. Plenty of theories and guesses to the reason why. The New York Times reports that Ukrainian government has received about $22 million in cryptocurrency donations from around the world in the recent day. On the flip side, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro called Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday to express his strong support for the Russian cause. Putin reportedly said that the whole point of the invasion is to protect the civilian population of the separatist region Putin acknowledged as independent late last week. So here you go. Also, a kooky professor from Moscow State Institute of National Relations, known as a conspiracy theorist, tells the UK Express tabloid that Putin has sent his family to a luxury bunker at the Altai Mountains. Professor Valery Solovey says that the hideout is designed to hold up against nuclear weapons, and it is connected to the vast underground city. I don't know. I can only share with you what is given to me. Anyways, let's continue talking real quick. Data released for Pfizer's study of vaccine effectiveness in kids age 5 through 11 shows that the treatment was anything but helpful. After 42 days, kids aged between 5 and 11 were 40% more likely to test positive for COVID. This is according to a New York Times reports. Meanwhile, the CDC data shows that more than 140 million Americans have had COVID, doubling the infection rate from what was previously believed. The good news is that it means that the death rate is half of what it was believed to be previously. So I guess that's a good sign to take a look at. And it gets worse now that the winter wave has settled. States with mask mandates fared worse than those who with mask mandates with no longer theories. So there it is. This isn't based on studies of statistics or exploration. This is what happened according to information that was found available. So it was mask versus no mask and what the percentages were going on. Also in breaking news, an Oregon Health and Science University study shows that antibodies from natural infection are 10 times more potent than the vaccine immunity. So there you go. Just some things to think about as the information is provided. But like I always tell people, there is news, and then there's news, and then there's other stuff, and then there's stuff here, and there's stuff there, and we share all kinds of stuff as we find it, and then, of course, we retract as needed. So you never know where it's going to go. Anyways, 22 minutes past the top of the hour. I think it is time for us to have the conversation with Mr. Johnny Smalls and what is going on inside of the Market Beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. Equities plummeted again on Tuesday following another escalation of fighting in Ukraine. A convoy of Russian military equipment is bearing down on Kiev and threatens to topple the embattled country. The news helped to send the price of West Texas Intermediate up by 10% to a new high, breaking the price action out of a bullish pattern and putting it on track to set a new all-time high within a matter of weeks. The S&P 500 shed nearly 2% on the news and is threatening to fall back below an important 4,300 level once again. Trading today will be impacted by geopolitical news as well as economic data. The ADP report is due out and could alter the tone of the market. Last month, the ADP came in well below expectations and pointed to topping, if not contraction, within the economy. If that story is repeated with this month's data, it will be another weight for the market to bear, and the market is already buckling. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one, for keeping us in the loop, because that is important. Anyways, if you want to come in, hang out, do some things, and keep on posting some of your messages, you're more welcome to do so at callinradio.com. Just put that into your browser and you'll get right there. Anyways, Japan has a reputation for technology innovation, but a study underneath Antarctica's ice sheet, they're going to old school, trapping sensors to seals. Reuters reports that the Japanese researchers put sensors on the heads of 8 seals. The sensor monitors temperature and the salinity levels of and also sheds light on the seal's behavior. So there you go. Some interesting things. I guess, when you can go with simple tech, go with that, because that's what's important. Anyways, a cargo ship carrying thousands of luxury cars that caught on fire nearly 2 weeks ago has sunk. It was being towed back to a port when it finally succumbed to the sea about 250 miles off the coast of Portugal. Officials are monitoring the site for signs of fuel leaks, so we're sure we'll hear about that in the coming weeks. Anyways, rise of mountain lions. Yesterday there was the Boulders couple who found the mountain lion underneath their porch. Now California family says that the same thing has happened to them. It happened just south of Fresno, California. The homeowner says that she and her family were getting ready to head outdoors for school and work, and they spotted a big cat on the front porch. Neighbors say that it has been prowling around for hours before picking the spot to hunker down in. The mountain lion was eventually tranquilized and returned into the wild. I can't imagine doing that. Can you imagine walking your ass outside and all of a sudden, voila, you go there and there is a mountain lion hanging out on your porch? Yeah, that could probably be something that could leave some emotional scarring for you, as one can imagine. Anyways, all is not lost. A teacher in Southwest Indiana has faced disciplinary action for reportedly slapping a delinquent student during an altercation. But instead of mobs demanding his termination, the community rallied in support of the teacher. It went down in Jimtown, Indiana, during the school board meeting to determine the teacher's fate. Colleagues and students rallied in his defense. They noted that not only did he have decades of incredible reputation, but the kid who got the smack was a routine pain in the ass who probably had it coming. Oh, wow, that's some harsh wording. Two students testified that it was a failure of the administration, not the teacher, for letting the slapped kid cause as much trouble as he did. Instead of getting fired, the teacher was taken an early retirement effective immediately and will have all the benefits. This is according to ABC News 57. So there you go. I don't know. I look at it and I go, well, early retirement, full benefits. It doesn't sound like a bad gig on your way out. Like, were you planning on retiring at the end of the year? Maybe I'm saying some stuff out of school. Who knows?
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't really agree with everything that I have to say, and I get it. Believe me, I get it, because I say some whacked up stuff from time to time. Anyways, let's get into it and talk about some things here. Two fallen NYPD officers honored by President Biden. Two fallen NYPD officers were honored by President Biden during his State of the Union address. Noam Latham has more information.
President Biden paying tribute to officers Wilbert Mora and Jason Rivera, who were shot and killed answering a domestic call in Harlem back in January.
I spoke with their families, and I told them that we were forever in debt for their sacrifices, and will carry on their mission to restore the trust and safety in every community deserve.
The president met with officers at One Police Plaza last month to pay his respects and talk about combating gun violence. Noam Laden, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you very much for that one, as we are hanging and banging this morning and talking about what is going on inside of the world here. Anyways, let's talk about this because, I am in Florida, so I had to talk about it. But Daytona's Bike Week starts on Friday. There's another sign of things returning to normal. Take a listen to what Trey Thomas has to say.
Daytona Bike Week 2021 wasn't quite the spectacle as it was in years past, but officials hope that'll change this year when it starts Friday in Florida. Hotel rooms are booked at levels last seen before the pandemic. Some are even predicting that this could be one of the top 5 bike weeks ever. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, Trey Thomas, thank you for that one, letting us know what's going on there. Also, some other news going on to the other side. Amended bill to prohibit vaccine passport advances in the state Senate. A bill that seeks to prevent businesses from requiring proof of vaccination from workers and customers is advancing in the Utah Senate.
Your body is yours, and nobody else, including the President of the United States, should have the right to penetrate that bodily integrity. That's something that's fundamental to our society.
Okay, State Senator Mike Kennedy testified in favor of the House Bill 60 yesterday in front of the Taxation and Revenue Committee. Opponents of the bill have challenged its requirement as a reverse mandate that infringes in the rights of business owners. The criticism led senators to change the Senate bill to allow businesses to ask for proof of immunity status from employees. The amended bill passed the committee 7-2 in the vote, so there you go. It now has to be approved by the full Senate before it can be sent back to the House for a vote. Before the changes are made yesterday. Before the changes made yesterday. Okay, so Diana Anderson was present when the man was taken from the committee room in handcuffs for allegedly causing a disruption while it was going on.
He took off his sticker. He complied with what the chairman said, but he didn't take his shirt off. And they had the patrol come and take him out, saying that he was disrupting the meeting.
So hold on, did he take his shirt off? That seems like it's getting a little raunchier than what we were talking about here, that's for sure. Anyways, it's close to that time. It is 30 minutes past the top of the hour. So I think it's time for us to do that thing that we call a main story. So let's do that right now.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So here we go. We're talking, we're hanging, we're doing all the stuff that we do. And it is 30 minutes past. It is the Rated R Safety Show. It is main story. But if you took a look around this morning and, like we talk about all the time, titles are important, depending on how you want to take a look at them. And we talk about what is going on. You had the option this morning of taking a look at this and going, okay, we want to take a listen to it based on titling, or you have no clue what the title is, and you just came in to hang out and go from there. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't hold it against you either way. But if you're listening onto the podcast aspect of it, well, you probably already got the title. And if you're listening to the radio station, which is, of course, the preferred method that we like, you have no idea what the title is. But the episode today is titled Cost of a Dream. And it's interesting to me that time and time again, and I don't think that this is a big secret, I have people that reach out to me that are interested in getting into either the world of safety or the world of radio or the world of podcasting, and they want to talk about safety inside of either podcasting or radio, or maybe they even have an event that they want to put on, and they reach out to me. And I guess it's kind of a weird thing to talk about, and I'll mention it, and I'm not trying to be a dick as I'm talking about this, but there is an expectation that people will be known and popular by kind of flipping a switch. And that's not really how things work. It is not this time in life where we talk about wanting to have that microwave sequence where all of a sudden you set it, you forget it, and things move on. Don't get me wrong, I like automation as much as the next person, but that's not how it works when you are kind of building things up. And in the frequency that this happens, I started thinking a little bit about the journey that got me to this chair. And it wasn't that I bought a chair and put it inside of the office and said, hey, that's the journey that got me to the chair. But we talk all the time that you need to do the work that you love. But there also has to be an understanding to an extent that things don't always work out perfectly. And there has to be an understanding that sometimes there is some things that happen behind the scenes that people don't know about. And I really wanted to open that door for you today. I wanted to talk to you about this dream that I had and still have, because it hasn't really changed, known as Safety FM. Even though we're also on Radio Big at the moment, and possibly something else at some later point. But as we are talking about it, I want to reference this. We have talked in the past that I worked for a pretty large organization that was heavily involved inside of the world of automotive. And I left a big cushy job to come and start this thing, even though I had already started down the process of doing so. Now, if you are looking on the video stream, you probably might have some questions today because you're probably not used to seeing me outside of the color black. And I get it because that's normally how I wear my clothes. And I get that I normally don't wear anything outside of black, and that's my intention most of the time. But today I'm wearing a green shirt. And if you take a look at my shirt, and if you're not on the radio station, that's perfectly fine. Or if you are on the radio station, perfectly fine. I'll explain it to you. It is a green shirt. And it has the name of Shipped on it. Now, I'm going to explain to you that Shipped is not a new sponsor for the radio station. So I just want to make sure that we're clear. And if you take a look at my Shipped shirt, you will realize, if you are a Shipped shopper, that this is the older style logo. So let me tell you how this actually came about. I did not go to a thrift store and pick this shirt up. But when I started down this journey of doing this radio station and getting this thing off the ground, well, I like this thing called stability. And not that I was hurting financially, but there is always a level of fear when money is not coming in. So I took it upon myself saying, if this radio station and this podcast network and this safety consulting things do not work out, what is going to be my plan B? And I know that there are people that are out there that say, I am going with plan one, plan A, plan one, plan whatever, and this is the only thing that I'm committing to. Well, me, on the other hand, I'm kind of strange when it comes to certain things. And I know sleeping's important, but sometimes I don't make it a priority. And at that point in my life, I decided that besides that I was going to be running a radio station and a podcast network and doing safety consulting, I decided to start working for Shipped. Yep. Didn't tell a lot of people about that. There might have been 4 or 5 people at best that knew this. So besides that I was coming to you and doing all the stuff that I was able to do, I was also working for Shipped. Delivering groceries in my local neighborhood, delivering goods from across different retailers just to make sure that financially I was still doing okay. It wasn't the richest endeavor that I've ever done, and let's just be realistic about it, but it was something that I was willing to do. Now, listen, I will tell you that for the longest time, when it comes to financial situations, I have listened to Dave Ramsey. And hey, he says that sometimes you have to go out there and do side hustle to get out of the things that you're doing. So I started taking that advice of looking at side hustles and saying, hey, in case this does not work out, I have to have something immediately to fall back onto. And that was the decision that I made. That was part of the cost of my dream. As much as I would love to sit back and tell you for a moment that everything was perfect the whole time in regards to getting this thing off the ground, it wasn't. And sometimes I think we tend to forget that things are not going to work perfectly. Understand that I speak all of the time in regards of doing things that make you happy. And I can tell you that even delivering food and services and groceries for Shipped was a more pleasant experience than my cushy job at a corporate office. That was the cost of my dream. What are you willing to do? Think about that.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
People been saying
different face and posting on their feed. They're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com. Okay, here you go. Here you go. 43 minutes past the top of the hour. This is all we've been dreaming of. This one's by Particle House and Adeline. This song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. Thank you to Particle House for allowing us to play this lovely. Okay, so there you go. Good stuff there for sure. Anyways, let's get moving and grooving and talking about some things that are going on. Anyways, I'm going to tell you about the most important portion that I'm going to tell you all day long, any day, every day, anytime that we get to hang out. I want to tell you about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experience from people in your local community whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741, or go to their website at afsp.org. That is afsp.org. I'm going to tell you, you never know when this information could be valuable to you or someone that you know. So take a look at it, see what's out there, read some of the stories. You can help make a difference in your local communities, or even join a chapter if you're so inclined to do so. Anyways, like I said, that will always be the most important information that I will get to share with you, because I think it's so important to talk about. Anyways, let's get into some more news stuff, because I think it's important as we are hanging this morning. And you want to know what's going on inside of the news and inside of the world of safety. So it's a combination of both things. Anyways, the Kremlin, Russia's ready to continue talks with the Ukraine. The Kremlin says that Russian delegation is ready to continue the peace talks with the Ukraine. Mike Bowers has more information.
As the intensified war between Russia and Ukraine entered the seventh day, the Kremlin on Wednesday said the Russian delegation is ready to continue peace talks with Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov says, "Our delegation will be ready to continue talks," adding that Moscow's delegation expects the talks to resume tonight. On Monday, the Ukrainian delegation had held talks with Russian officials at the border with Belarus, though they ended with no agreements except to keep talking. I'm Mike Bauer.
Okay, so there you go. Thanks, Mike Bauer, for that one. Here we go. Harris sits down with today. President Biden is going after Russia, and the war of Ukraine gets bloodier. Vice President Kamala Harris talked with the Today Show this morning following Biden's first State of the Union address. Yeah, this is how real time we're keeping it, my friends.
The United States has been a leader in bringing together our allies, our NATO alliance, the EU, to stand firm and resolute with some of the most severe sanctions and consequences that we've ever seen as a unified group.
During the speech, Biden said that when the history of his era is written, Putin's war on the Ukraine will be left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. He added why it shouldn't have been taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what was at stake. Now everyone sees it clearly. He did note that he noted that the unity among leaders of the nation and more unified for Europe as a more unified West. So there you go. Harris talked about what the U.S. is prepared to keep doing. Take a listen.
Sanctions against their financial institutions, against their oligarchs, where we are targeting their mansions and their jets. What we are going to continue to do is stand firm with our allies in terms of reassessing what we are doing with sanctions. Everything is on the table for consideration.
Harris also talked about what the U.S. is not prepared to do.
We are not going to put U.S. troops in Ukraine to fight the Russians on the ground or in the air, but we are firm in our preparedness to defend our NATO alliance and our allies every inch of the NATO territory.
Okay, so there you go. That's what's going on early this morning, as according coming in from the Today Show. Anyway, San Bernardino declares end of COVID-19 emergency. A California county is officially declaring the end of the coronavirus public health emergency. We got some more info for you.
San Bernardino County voted unanimously to declare the end of the emergency, first declared in March 2020. But they approved a new declaration for a future emergency. The new resolution recognizes the potential of an overwhelmed medical system from a COVID-19 wave. Putting a resolution out there for future public health emergencies would make it easier for the county to get state and federal money. Roel Balon, NBC News Radio.
Okay, so there you go. There's that info as we are listening, hanging, banging, and doing all that stuff. Anyways, nostalgia just as good good as it used to be. Walking down memory lane can help you deal with physical pain. That's the conclusion of researchers at the Chinese Academy of Science. They say that they're taking a break to look at old photos or to reminisce, actually, to provide the relief of general aches and pains. The study found that feeling nostalgic helps people overcome low levels of pain by reducing brain activity. While these feelings have been found to reduce people's perception of pain, biological chemistry or biological mechanism at work have also remained mysterious until now. Yearling for about a simpler time reduces the brain activity and could help people overcome the low levels of pain like headaches. While there is a wide variety of pain medications to choose from, they're also potentially addictive and come with a high side effects risk. So there you go. New findings suggest that nostalgia may be a drug-free way for people to alleviate low levels of pain. And that is why I say I never feel better than when I'm listening to the good old Salt and Pepper on my Walkman. And that is why my wife always carries out our wedding photos, or just puts it, if we can survive being married, if I can survive being married to you, how could anything else bother me? I guess that's, some positive ways of taking a look at things.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
A Scottish woman has rediscovered a bank account that she had not touched in over 60 years. Surprised to learn that her $3.35 had ballooned over the decades to $335. The 74-year-old Carol Allison, who grew up in the Philippines, was visiting her grandmother in Scotland when she was 6 years old, and then the older woman helped her open an account at a trustee savings bank now known as TSB. Grandma hung on to the bank book over the years, and it was returned to Allison when her grandmother died in 1969. Allison, who now lives in Scotland, recently came across the bank book while cleaning her house. She took it to the bank and was pleasantly surprised to find out that it's still active, and her $3.35 had grown into $335, of course, over the course of 6 decades. She now is planning to find out where the other 2 bank books that she had found are the same or any further unexpected withheld. So there you go. So have they told you that over 60 years worth of service fees yet? Because that might be the surprise. And I can only hope that a higher interest rate in the story than they had in the bank book. She could have invested it in Bitcoin and would have had minus $335. So that's something to think about. That is for sure. Anyways, it is time to bring Johnny Smalls in one more time and let him tell you about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote has been submitted by Drake. Rummy said, "You're searching the world for treasure, but the real treasure is yourself." I agree with this one. I've met people who are searching for a way to be rich. They'll pour themselves into one scheme after another, when the simple answer is right in front of them. First, find something that benefits others more than it benefits you. Then put your heart into helping people by sharing that thing with them. It's your heart that will help you find happiness, not your brain. Some people think there's a quick path to wealth. It will almost always fall apart if your heart is not at the center of it. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlassaMorgan.com. So, what exactly happens to your body when you decide to take a break from food? Within 4 to 6 hours of meal consumption, your stomach normally empties, and hunger hormone ghrelin increases. After the initial wave of hunger, ghrelin decreases but continues to rise and fall throughout the time of not eating. After 12 hours, the digestive system goes to rest. Insulin is done moving nutrients from your cells to storage, and your body runs on stored glucose. After 16 to 24 hours of no food, your body runs on stored fat. Ketones are produced by the liver to fuel the brain. Cleanup process of old cells is initiated, also called autophagy. Inflammation throughout your body decreases, and secretion of growth hormone and norepinephrine rises, supporting your metabolism as you fast. For additional information, check out alessamorgan.com.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
16 to 24 hours without food? Whoa, that's intense. Anyways, let's continue talking. 53 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out. So at the top of the hour, I will be going over exclusively to radiobig.fm. If you want to come out, hang out, and do the things that we do over there, you're more than welcome on doing so. That way we can hang out, take a listen to some music, and we are going to definitely take a listen to some songs that are being questioned right now, because, you know, that's what we get to do. So let's talk about some birthdays that are going on real quick. Becky G turns 25, Luke Combs 32, James Arthur 33, Reggie Bush 37, Beth Roslenberger turns 40, Bryce Dallas Howard turns 41, Rebel Wilson turns 42, Chris Martin 45, Method Man 51, Daniel Craig 54 today, John Bon Jovi turns 60, and let's see, and Robert Williams turns 79, and Mykolaiv Gorbachev turns 91 today. So there you go, some birthdays that are going on this date. Also born today was Dr. Seuss, just in case you did not know that. He passed away back in 1991. If you're looking at some things that happened back on this date, we can talk about it. Back on this time last year, Dr. Seuss Enterprises announced that 6 Dr. Seuss books will no longer be published over outcries of racist and insensitive imagery. We can go through the books, but I think that there was enough of the actual things that happened back on that date that probably it's not worth repeating. Anyway, so let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about some days of the year that you can celebrate today. Today's Ash Wednesday. Also Dr. Seuss Day. National Red Cross, National Read Across America Day, World Teen Mental Wellness Day, National Old Stuff Day, and Banana Cream Pie today. So hopefully you get to enjoy something like that if you have the opportunity to do so. Let's continue talking just relatively quick as we are getting closer to getting the hell out of here. That is for sure. Let's talk about it. Did you know? Incompetent people are often so incompetent that they don't realize that their own incompetence. According to a Dunning-Kruger effect, people who are ignorant or unskilled in any area too in depth to notice. So they end up thinking that they are far more competent than they actually are. Admit it, this story has immediately reminded you of someone in particular. Who came to mind? Come on, be honest. You know that there is somebody who you're thinking about right away. Anyways, let's talk about some other things real quick. Let's talk about some whack facts real quick. Fleas jump about 140 times the force of gravity, 20 times that space shuttle during a launch. When awake, a human brain produces enough electricity to power a small light bulb. Perspiration is odorless. It is the bacteria on the skin that creates the odor. Just 30 minutes of daily complaining can physically damage your brain, and listening to someone else constantly complain also negatively affects your brain function. Sniffing Crayola crayons has been found to lower your blood pressure. Don't take my word for it. Knitting was initially a male-only occupation. In fact, when the first knitting union was established in Paris back in 1527, no women were allowed. So there you go. Some things you probably did not know. So just real quick, as we are talking, let me give you a random joke for today if you're so inclined to need this thing. Am I getting older, or is it the supermarket finally playing great music? If you need a phone starter for today, try this one. What food do you love that a lot of people might find odd or even repulsive? If you need a question for the water cooler, you can always try this. Question. A survey found that 68% of people share secrets with this person. Who is it? Their hairstylist. Now, I'm trying to figure out what kind of hairstylist we're talking about, because there are a lot of people inside of the work industry that do things with hair. And who knows what we're talking about. So there you go. That's what's going on. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show exclusively on Radio Big and Safety FM. And maybe we'll talk about some other things going down the path right there. If you want to come and hang out with us, like I said, you can come over to radiobig.fm. Also, if you are not aware, we also do have an on-demand video service that also has some classes and some other things tied into it as well. We will be releasing a new ebook here in probably the next week or so we'll talk about that the closer that we get to it. So there's the opportunity of coming over and doing that. All you'll have to do is go to safetyfmplus.com. That is safetyfm Plus, and you come and hang out with us doing on-demand stuff. We also sometimes incorporate some classes inside of there that you can't get anywhere else. No, seriously, you can't get the classes anywhere else, or if not, they're normally considered high-ticket classes, and sometimes it is presenters that are on the radio station that normally don't offer classes to the public. Also not allowed to advertise them, so I can't talk about really who they are. If you want to go over there, you can take a look. It's kind of easy to find. But we'll leave it at that. All you have to do is go to safetyfmplus.com. Anyways, if I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. They always say that time changes all things, but you actually have to change them yourself. So think about that. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Thank you for listening, because we can't do what we do without you. The most important part, the listener. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
Duh. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.